Welcome to Developing Success. So today we are doing the topic of Western Ghats. It is again the topic of geography, specifically Indian geography and also environment. Because Western Ghats is a very rich ecological hotspot. Biodiversity is too much rich in the Western Ghats, and that is why it is also under the topics of environment. Okay, so let us begin the lecture. So first of all, we will be doing the location of the Western Ghats. So as you see here in the map of India, the Western Ghats are located as a continuous range in the peninsular India. So this is basically the location of Western Ghats. Okay, and Western Ghats are bounded by Satpura Hills and the river Tapti. Okay, so we have river Tapti flowing along the Satpura Hills. So this is the northern boundary of the Western Ghats, and Western Ghats is around 1600 kilometer long. They are the 1600 kilometer long mountain ranges, and they are continuous. Continuous means they are having a continuous chain of mountain ranges and they don't have much discontinuity. So they are continuous ranges running from Gujarat till Kerala. Okay, so this is the location of the Western Ghats. On the western edge of the Western Ghats is present the western coastal plains. So these are the Western Ghats, and on the other edge these are the western coastal plains. So the western coastal plains are a very narrow plains and they are located along the western edge of the Western Ghats. Okay, so this is a brief introduction of the location of the Western Ghats. Okay, now we move on to some other information in regard to the Western Ghats. So as you can see from this map, now you are aware that Western Ghats, they stretch just below the Tapti river. Okay, so just below the Tapti river and the Satpura hills. So we have the Satpura hills, and on the southern edge of the Satpura hills, on the rift valley of Satpura hills flows the river Tapti, or you can call it Tapi also, and the south of Tapi present is the Western Ghats. So how many states Western Ghats are present? We have 6 states. So through 6 states, 1600 kilometers long, and they are continuous mountain ranges. They don't have any kind of discontinuity. So the first state is the state of Gujarat. So we have Gujarat, then we have Maharashtra, then we have Goa, next is Karnataka, next is Kerala, and also Tamil Nadu. So that makes it 6 states: Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. So Western Ghats are present in 6 states. So this was asked in many of the competitive exams, that how many states are there in the Western Ghats. Okay, now I will tell you some of the facts about Western Ghats are that they are too much ecologically rich. So ecological importance of the Western Ghats is too much. Why? Because in the Western Ghats are present endemic species. Okay, in the Western Ghats are present the endemic species. So what are endemic species? Endemic species are those species which are found nowhere else than in one place. Okay, so Western Ghats has many such species which you will find in no other place other than the Western Ghats. So that is what is called the endemic species. Apart from this, here I want to tell you many things about the hills of the Western Ghats. So there are many hills in the Western Ghats. We start with the state of Maharashtra. So in the state of Maharashtra, we have hills like Triambakeshwar, or you can call it Satmala Hills. Okay, So we have Satmala Hills, Trimbakeshwar Hills in Maharashtra. Other than this, in Maharashtra we have Kalsubai, which you should remember, and then we have Mahabaleshwar. Mahabaleshwar. So these are some of the important ranges of Western Ghats in the Maharashtra state. And these are also known as Northern Sahyadris. So the other name of the Western Ghats is Sahyadri, and this part, the Maharashtra and the Goa part, is known as the Gujarat, Maharashtra and the Goa part are known as the Northern Sahyadris. So in the Northern Sahyadris, Maharashtra state, you have Trimbakeshwar, that is Satmala Hills, you have Kalsubai and you have Mahabaleshwar. And in the Goa region, we have the Mandav Hills, or you can call it Mandovi Hills, whatever you want, Mandav Hills. And Kalsubai is actually the highest peak of Maharashtra. So highest peak of Maharashtra is Kalsubai. Remember this. This is a fact, and many of the examinations will be asking you the same question and you will be directly answering from here. So Kalsubai in Maharashtra is the highest peak, which is present in the northern part of the Sahyadris. Now we move on to the central part of the Sahyadris. So the central part of the Sahyadris lies in the state of Karnataka. Okay, so this is the central part of Sahyadris. So in the central part of Sahyadris in Karnataka, we have hills like Kudremukh. You must have heard about it. Kudremukh. It is very important for iron ore and manganese. So these are the two minerals which are also found in the Western Ghats, iron ore and manganese in the Kudremukh hills. Other than Kudremukh hills, we have Baba Budan hills. So these hills were named after the saint Baba Budan. He came from Ethiopia, the Arab world, and he came with coffee beans. So he was the one who actually cultivated coffee for the first time in these hills, and that is why the hill name is the Baba Budan Hills. And also you know it from here that it is very important for coffee production in India. So it makes the highest production of coffee in India in the Baba Budan Hills. So in the Baba Budan Hills, we have one more peak by the name of Mulyangiri. Okay, so you have the hill station of Kurg here and also the peak of Mulyangiri. And Mulyangiri is again the highest peak of Maharashtra. So the highest peak of the highest peak of Karnataka. Okay, so we are reading Karnataka. It is the highest peak of Karnataka. Highest peak of Maharashtra is Kalsubai. Okay, and the highest peak of Karnataka in the Western Ghats is Mulyangiri. Okay, so these were the information in regard to the Karnataka. It is mainly falling, this Baba Budan Hills is mainly falling in the Chikmagalur districts. Those are very famous for trekking, and important thing is the coffee production and also the Kurinji flowers. So these flowers are very much spoken about, Kurinji flowers, and they bloom once in 12 years. So once in 12 years these Kurinji flowers bloom. So these are the important facts about the middle Sahyadri or the central Sahyadri, you can say. Now we move on to the southern part of the Western Ghats, which is the most biogeographic, most ecologically sensitive and most number of endemic species are also there in the southern Western Ghats. So southern Western Ghats comprise of this part. So southern Western Ghats have three states. First is Kerala. Second is Karnataka. Yes, we have the southernmost part of Karnataka included in the southern Western Ghats. And the last state is Tamil Nadu. So these three are the states which forms the part of southern Sahyadris, or you can call it southern Western Ghats. Sahyadris are the other name of Western Ghats. Okay. So in the southern part of the Western Ghats, we have the hills. So first hill is here, which is known as Nilgiri. So this hill is known as Nilgiri Hills, and the hills are present on the tri-junction border of the three states. So these three states, they have the tri-junction border here. If you can't see, I can rub again and make you see. So this is the tri-junction border here, and we have the Nilgiri Hills present here. So Nilgiri Hills are very much important for tea production in India. So tea gardens are very famous in the Nilgiri Hills. Eucalyptus oil, chocolate production, these are very much important in the Nilgiri Hills. And in the Nilgiri Hills, we have the Doda Beta Peak. Doda Beta, which is the highest peak of Nilgiris. Not the highest peak of any state or any mountain range, but it is the highest peak of Nilgiri Hills. Doda Beta. Next hill is the Palani Hills here, and we have the Annamalai Hills, then we have the Cardamom Hills, and then we have the Agastyamalai Hills. So we have Palani Hills, which are the part of the southern Western Ghats by the name of Palani Hills. Next is we are having here Annamalai Hills, and then in the south of Annamalai Hills we have Cardamom Hills. We have Cardamom Hills and also Agastyamalai Hills at the end. Agastyamalai Hills at the end, and the last point is the Mahendragiri Hills. Mahendragiri Hills. So these are the hills in the southern Western Ghats. I'll repeat it for you, don't worry. So the first hills are the Nilgiri Hills, highest peak is Doda Beta. Second is Palani Hills, third is Annamalai Hills. So in the Annamalai Hills, we have the peak Anemudi by the name of Anemudi. So Anemudi is the highest peak of Western Ghats. It is the highest peak of Western Ghats. So the total Western Ghats, if they ask you in the examination, the highest peak of total Western Ghats, then it is the highest peak, which is known as Anemudi. It is present in the Annamalai Hills. Okay, so and it is also the highest peak of Kerala. Obviously, it is the highest peak of the whole of the Western Ghats, and that is why it is the highest peak of Kerala also. Next is the Cardamom Hills. It is famous for the production of cardamom. So this was the area where the Vasco da Gama landed in India, and from here the colonization and trade began in the terms of Europe and India, and rest is history, we all know. So Cardamom Hills, and next is Agastyamalai, and last point is Mahendragiri. So from Mahendragiri to Satmala is actually the Western Ghats. So I told you the important hills of northern Western Ghats, where we had Maharashtra, Gujarat and Goa. Then we had central Western Ghats comprising the state of Karnataka only. And then we have the southern Western Ghats, which have three states: Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. So as you can see, more number of hills what you need to memorize and see in your atlas is the southern Western Ghats portion. So these were the hills. So I also told you the highest peak. So highest peak of Maharashtra, Kalsubai. Highest peak of Karnataka is Mulyangiri. Highest peak of Nilgiri Hills is Doda Beta. And highest peak of whole of the Western Ghats is Anemudi, which is present in the Annamalai Hills in Kerala. Okay. Now we move on to our next discussion of Western Ghats. So there are many rivers also in Western Ghats which actually define the whole ecological balance. So we will start with north to south, and there are 3 to 4 main rivers only which we need to study. Okay. Obviously the tributaries and the related resources, the related hydropower projects, the related important dams are also important. But for this lecture, we are only discussing the rivers of the Western Ghats. So the first river actually comes out from Trambakeshwar Hill in Nasik. Okay. So from Nasik, the river is coming out, and the name of the river is Godavari. So this is the river of Godavari. It crosses the whole Maharashtra in the Vidarbha region. This is the Vidarbha region. Then it enters into Chhattisgarh, touching the border. Then enters into Telangana and then Andhra Pradesh, and then forms the delta. Okay. So this is how river Godavari is running. It is flowing like this. Okay. So it is a east flowing river, It starts from Western Ghats, Triambakeshwar Hills, Satmala, where we have the Jyotirling of Triambakeshwar, and it falls in the Sea of Bay of Bengal. So it is a east flowing river. Okay, and the tributaries of Godavari are Vainganga, Penganga, Vardha. These are the tributaries and they are all coming from the Satpura region. I will discuss the particular river in another lecture where we will talk about separately about the river. Next river is coming out from Mahabaleshwar. So from Mahabaleshwar, some five rivers like Krishna, Venna, Penna, Varna, Purna, these rivers are coming, and all these five rivers join together and make the river Krishna, which flows in Maharashtra, crosses Ichhal Karanji, then comes to Karnataka, make the Raichur Dwab, and then enter into Andhra Pradesh, and it makes border between Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Okay, so it makes border. So this river is known as Krishna. It is also the river of Western Ghats coming from Mahabaleshwar, flowing eastward and making a delta in the Bay of Bengal coast in Andhra Pradesh. So the tributaries of Krishna are Ghataprabha, Malaprabha, Tungabhadra. So Tungabhadra is an important tributary. On the banks of Tungabhadra, we have a World Heritage Site city, that is Hampi. Okay, remember. Next is we have another river which is coming out from the Tala Kaveri. So obviously the name says it is the Kaveri river flowing in the southern part of the Karnataka and then going to Tamil Nadu, crossing the Erode districts and making the delta again in the Bay of Bengal. So these three are the important rivers: Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. All are starting from Western Ghats, flowing eastward and going into the Bay of Bengal. So what they are doing is they are actually eroding the eastern part of the Western Ghats. They are pretty much eroded, and that is why a large amount of deposits are carried by these rivers and they are deposited on the eastern coastal plains, and this is why eastern coastal plains are broader and western coastal plains are narrow. Why they are narrow? Because the deposition is very less, because most of the rivers are actually flowing eastward and carrying their deposition, and all the deposition is being done on the eastern part. There are some west flowing rivers also, like the Meethi river in Mumbai, we have Periyar river in Kerala, we have Bharatapuzha also in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So Periyar, then we have Bharatapuzha, and also we have some rivers in Goa, that is Mandovi, we have Chapora, and we have Zuari. So these three are in the Goa state, Periyar and Bharatapuzha are in Kerala. And also in Karnataka we have one more river, Sharavati. Okay, so this river is also west flowing. So these are very small rivers. I can't even draw these rivers on the map because they're very small rivers. They're coming from the Western Ghats. Their source is Western Ghats, but they are going and draining down in the western coastal plain in the Arabian Sea. So the course of the river, the course of these rivers are very small, and that is why I cannot draw these rivers here. So I have named them. So in Karnataka we have Sharavati, Periyar and Bharatapuzha we have in Kerala, Mandovi, Chapora, Juari we have in Goa. Now we move on to our next section of Western Ghats, that is passes of the Western Ghats. So passes means there is a gap between the two hills which actually makes the area navigable, which actually makes the area navigable in such a way that we can cross the mountain and go to the leeward side. Okay, so there are some gaps as you can see in the map. In the Maharashtra state we have Kasara Ghat Pass, then we have Malsej Ghat, we have also Bhor Ghat, Nane Ghat, Kumbharali Ghat, Chorla Ghat. So Chorla Ghat is in between Goa and Maharashtra. Okay, mainly Goa, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Chorla Ghat. And then we have two important gaps or passes in the southern part of the Sahyadris also. One is the Palghat Gap, which is dividing the Nilgiri with the Annamalai and Palani. Okay, so this is the section of Anamalai and Palani. And next is the Shenkotta Gap or Shenkotta Pass, which is in between Cardamom Hills and Agasthamalai Hills. Cardamom Hills and Agasthamalai Hills. Other important passes I have given the list. You can take a screenshot or you can see them on the map. Okay, first is the Thalghat Pass, which is connecting Mumbai to Nasik, as you can see here. Thalghat, this one. Then we have the Borghat Pass connecting Mumbai Pune, this one. Then we have Palaghat Gap, this one connecting Nilgiri, Anamalai, Palani. Then we have Amba Ghat Pass here connecting Ratnagiri and Kolhapur. Then we have Nane Ghat connecting Pune and Juna city, and then we have Amboli Ghat. So Amboli Ghat Pass and Chorla Ghat Pass, they are located together. So there are two routes to go from Karnataka to Goa or Maharashtra to Goa, and we have two gaps. So one is Amboli and another is Chorla Ghats. So what about the vegetation of Western Ghats? As you can see, the western slopes. So if I draw the Western Ghats here, so the western slopes of the Western Ghats have tropical and subtropical moist broadleaf forest. That means they are evergreen in nature. They do not shed their leaves in any season. Okay, so they are the subtropical moist broadleaf. Example they have given: rosewood, mahogany and cedar. Next, on the eastern slopes of the Western Ghat, we have somewhat moist deciduous. So they are moist, they have 150 centimeter rainfall, but they are deciduous. It means they will shed their leaves in a particular season. That is why they are called deciduous. Examples are teak, sal, shisham, sandalwood, etc. So on the western part we have evergreen, and on the eastern slopes we have the moist deciduous. So what is the reason that there is more rainfall in the western slopes and we have evergreen forest, and there is less rainfall in the eastern slopes and we have deciduous forest? So there must be some reason. We will be discussing about that reason. So the reason for this particular thing is monsoon. As you can see the map of India, so in the month of June, the southwest monsoon winds blow in this direction. They blow from the southwest direction to the northeast direction in India. And Western Ghats, being a continuous change, they act as a barrier. Okay, so they act as a barrier. They obstruct all the winds here. So when the winds are getting obstructed, they will move up. And when they move up, condensation happens. And condensation gives rainfall in the whole region. On the other part, the rainfall is not much because they will be receiving the leftover rainfall. The leftover moist air will be crossing the mountains and they will be going that side, and that is why this zone is known as rain shadow zone. Rain shadow zone, and this side is known as leeward side. So this kind of rainfall structure is known as orographic type of rainfall. So you must have studied in the rainfall chapter in the physical geography. We have some 3-4 types of rainfall, and one of them is orographic rainfall. So orographic rainfall actually happens when the monsoon winds, when the rain moisture laden winds are obstructed by some hills, and the leeward side do not get that much rainfall which we get in the coastal side. So the leeward side, that is why the leeward side is having the deciduous forest, not evergreen, because they do not have the supply of rainfall in too much quantity. Next is the wildlife. So it is very important, wildlife. So more than 300 species in the Western Ghat are listed as endangered. They are listed as endangered by IUCN into their red data book. So IUCN is the oldest environmental organization in the world. It was founded in 1948 and it has its headquarters in Switzerland in the city of Gland. IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. So they actually prepare a red data book where they talk about the quantity of animals, the quantity of flora and fauna which are left, and that is how they categorize the animal in terms of their danger, in terms of their threat. So, more than 300 species of Western Ghats have been listed in the IUCN Red Data Book. That shows that the species diversity is so much, and also it shows that the Western Ghats are in danger also, are in threat also. Apart from this, in the wildlife sector, we have Nilgiri Thar, which are endemic to this region. We have bison, the Indian bison we have. Then we have lion-tailed mac. We have brown mongoose. Then we have Malabar civet. So these are some of the species to be remembered from the Western Ghats area, and they all are endemic species to the Western Ghats. Then we have flying squirrel also present in the Western Ghats. Okay, so these are some of the species. There are many species. We are not talking about all those. We are talking about some of the important species, and you must also remember the red data book information which I gave you. Okay, and what are the threats? See, among the threats, it's very easy to identify the threats in any forest. First threat is mining. As you all know, just I told you that Western Ghats is iron ore rich. We have iron ore, we have manganese. So obviously, if the exploration of minerals is there, the pollution will be there, and the pollution will be destroying the forest, which they are already doing. Next is extraction of forest produce. So forest produce like wax, timber, honey, these kind of things actually increase the human activity, and human activity will bring the degradation of the forest. Hunting, obviously, destroying of the biodiversity, livestock grazing, because the farmers are there, because the livestock grazing is present in the Shola forest of the Western Ghats, which is actually degrading the forest. Plantations like tea, coffee, rubber, then we have bamboo, these are the important plantations. All kinds of spices are grown in Western Ghats, those are also degrading. Then encroachment by human settlements, because Western Ghats have tourist places like Mahabaleshwar in Maharashtra, Coorg in Karnataka, Dodabeta Uti hill station in Nilgiri. Then we have Munnar and Thekadi in the southern part of the Anamalai and the northern part of Cardamom Hills. So very important in terms of tourism. So building of hotels, resorts, restaurants, obviously human encroachment is there. Hydropower projects because of lots of rivers present. Deforestation again because of tourism, human settlements, and finally and ultimately the climate change which is affecting the world altogether. So these are some of the threats. So if any question is asked in the written examination of any competitive exam, for example in the UPSC mains, so these are the points which are the threats to Western Ghats. And if there is threat, the government will be coming up with the conservation policy. So government have worked out some policies. So in 2011, the Gadgil committee was set up. Okay? So this committee was named as Western Ghats Ecological Expert Panel. Okay, and what did this committee said? That whole of the Western Ghats should be declared as ecologically sensitive area (ESA). And if a particular place is declared as ecologically sensitive area, construction activities, encroachment, plantation, this will not be possible. Mineral exploration, these things will not be possible. And obviously these things will also hamper the economic development of the particular state. So next in 2013 another committee was appointed, the Kasturi Rangan committee, and this committee said that only 37% of the total area should be brought under the ecological sensitive area. Only 37%. But if 37% is there and the whole is not there, then extra what we have to do? We have to completely ban mining, quarrying and sand mining. Okay, so completely ban on mining, quarrying and sand mining should be there. Then only this 37% will help in some or the other way. You have to remember the name of these two committees, the Gadgil committee and the Kasturi Rangan committee. Okay. So, if you have any doubt in regard to the concept or in regard to any of the factual information, you can just post your doubts in comments and I will be happy to help you.